Hi, it's Katrina. Imagine discoveries that challenge everything we know about history. Was a ruined Egyptian pyramid a power plant? Did a natural nuclear reactor exist 2 billion years ago? We are exploring strange, unrecorded mysteries that leave scientists and historians baffled. Join me as we delve into these fascinating and unexplained phenomena. This should be Origins Unexplained. Pyramid or power plant? Let me introduce you to a very controversial pyramid. They call it the unfinished pyramid. But what if it was finished and then something went horribly wrong? What's been found inside is enough to change the history of Egypt and humanity forever. I know you know of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the massive triangular wonder that conspiracy theorists, historians, and sci-fi lovers all argue about. But did you know that just a short distance away, hidden in plain sight, there is another pyramid that is even more baffling? Meet the unfinished, or possibly obliterated, North Pyramid of Zayat el-Aryan, built between 2613 and 2494 BC. Mainstream archaeologists like to call it the unfinished pyramid. But what if it was actually finished and then destroyed? There is a belief that the Zayat el-Aryan pyramid wasn't just another tomb for some nameless pharaoh. Oh no, it might have been something much more advanced, possibly even high-tech, like a pyramid-shaped power plant. Because, let's be honest, ancient civilizations may have known way more than we give them credit for today. I mean, they built these things without Home Depot, so clearly they were resourceful. The North Pyramid of Zayat el-Aryan sits a little more than a mile southeast of the Giza Pyramids, alongside another lesser-known pyramid called the Layer Pyramid. Unlike the big tourist attractions, these structures don't get much love because they are mostly ruins. It's like comparing the Mona Lisa to a pile of rubble. One's a masterpiece and the other kind of existed. Alessandro Barsanti was an Italian archaeologist who started digging here back in 1904. He found some pretty weird stuff, things that didn't quite match the just another burial site theory. Among his findings was a giant underground chamber and, most amazingly, a polished granite bathtub-like structure. Sounds luxurious, right? Who doesn't want a nice sudsy bath in their eternal death chamber? But hold on, this wasn't a royal jacuzzi. This so-called bathtub was a perfectly oval granite vat, carved directly into the bedrock, polished to mirror-like perfection. Not your everyday tomb decor. This thing was sealed airtight with a fitted granite lid, almost as if it was meant to contain something powerful or dangerous. Imagine the pressure! Honey, did you remember to seal the granite vat of potentially volatile ancient energy? Oops! Some researchers have pointed out that this bathtub strongly resembles the giant stone boxes of the Serapeum, another mysterious Egyptian site filled with a massive, precision-cut granite chest that modern technology still can't replicate. So what was it for? Some theories suggest it may have been used for liquids or gases, perhaps as part of an energy system. And speaking of energy, most researchers will tell you pyramids were built for pharaohs to chill in the afterlife. And while it's true that the biggest pyramids, like those at Giza, don't have royal mummies, probably because they were stolen thousands of years ago, that doesn't mean that no bodies have been found in the pyramids. In fact, some have yielded human remains, though often not in the grand sarcophagi. You'd think that if these were tombs, at least one pharaoh would still be hanging around, right? But many kings and nobles were buried somewhere else, mostly in the Valley of the Kings. This has led some researchers to suggest that pyramids, including the one at Zayat el-Aryan, were in fact technological structures, possibly power generators. Apparently, there is some science to back it up. For example, underground water channels beneath the pyramids may have created electricity through sound vibrations and electromagnetic energy. The pyramid's shape and materials may have amplified cosmic energy, an idea that Nikola Tesla himself had before his untimely demise. The mysterious granite vat at Zayat el-Aryan may have played a role in this energy system, perhaps containing reactive substances. Does all this sound crazy? Maybe. But let's not forget that mainstream science once laughed at the idea of black holes and quantum entanglement. Now they're in textbooks. Here's where things get even weirder. Since 1964, the entire pyramid site has been inside a restricted military zone. Off limits, no digging, and no exploring. Why? Maybe the Egyptian government doesn't want people messing with ancient alien technology. Maybe there's something underground they don't want us to find. Or maybe it's all just a coincidence. Adding fuel to the fire, nearby pyramids like the Bent Pyramid of Dashur show signs of explosions, as if something inside them went terribly wrong. Could the North Pyramid of Zayat el-Aryan have suffered the same fate? Some sort of Chernobyl disaster of 3000 BC? What do you think? Are we looking at an unfinished tomb, a destroyed power plant, or something even wilder? Let me know your thoughts in the comments because this mystery is far from over. A nuclear civilization 2 billion years ago. Nuclear energy was being produced on this planet 2 billion years ago. Scientists are struggling to understand whether it was Mother Nature pumping out the radiation or a secret society that existed over a billion years before the dinosaurs. In 1972, a scientist at a French nuclear processing plant was conducting a routine uranium analysis, the kind of task that is supposed to be boring and predictable. But something wasn't adding up. The uranium sample, which came from a mine in Oklo, Gabon, was just slightly off. The math wasn't mathin'. To the untrained eye, it was an insignificant detail, a fraction of a percent missing from the expected amount of uranium-235, the isotope that fuels nuclear reactions. But to the experts, that tiny discrepancy set off alarm bells, because somewhere, somehow, 440 pounds of uranium-235 had vanished. To put that into perspective, it's enough uranium to build half a dozen nuclear bombs and make fallout a reality. But here's the real shocker. The uranium wasn't missing. It had already been used. As scientists dug deeper into the Oklo uranium deposit, they stumbled upon a discovery so mind-blowing that it defied everything they thought they knew about nuclear science. The mine itself showed signs of a controlled nuclear chain reaction, one that had been running 1.8 billion years ago. That's like finding a working iPhone in the Stone Age. This nuclear reaction didn't just occur for a few minutes, not even just for a few days. It went on and on for at least 500,000 years. So how is that even possible? Who or what built this reactor? Scientists quickly labeled it a natural nuclear reactor. Conspiracy theory enthusiasts or ancient astronaut theorists would say don't think for a second our mainstream science buddies are going to give in to the idea of an ancient nuclear civilization. They would rather believe a rock did it all by itself. The idea was that under perfect conditions, a natural deposit of uranium-235 could have spontaneously ignited a self-sustaining fission reaction. But here's the thing. The more the scientists investigated, the less natural it all seemed, and the harder it was to dismiss the reactor as a product of Mother Nature. Perhaps the biggest mystery of all, though, is how the reaction started in the first place. When the uranium deposit at Oklo first formed, the concentration of uranium-235 in natural deposits would have been too low to initiate a self-sustaining nuclear reaction. But somehow a reaction did take place, which means one of two things. Either the laws of nuclear physics behaved differently 1.8 billion years ago, or someone enriched the uranium deposit. If uranium-235 had been artificially enriched, that would imply that an advanced intelligence far beyond what we associate with prehistoric Earth was responsible for building Oklo's nuclear reactor. How do you like this crazy idea? I mean, Mother Nature can do some pretty incredible things. The Oklo phenomenon is still widely accepted as a natural occurrence, albeit an extremely rare and puzzling one. But the skeptics remain unconvinced. How did the reaction start? How did it remain stable for so long? And how did nature design something that modern engineers still struggle to perfect? We may never have all the answers, but one thing is clear. The Oklo reactor isn't just a scientific anomaly. It is a window into a past that we barely understand. And now for a quick break because it's shoutout time! I want to give a big thank you to It's Alia Renee and Jen Rules for supporting this channel. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this. Who are the shadow people? Have you ever seen something move from the corner of your eye, but when you turn your head, there's nothing there? And then your brain has to do a quick system reboot, trying to figure out if you just saw a ghost or if it's a trick of the light. If this is something you've experienced, you may have had a glimpse of them, the shadow people. Welcome to an unnerving world of the supernatural. The shadow people are eerie, dark silhouettes that have been creeping around human history for centuries. Are they ghosts? interdimensional beings, astral travelers, time-traveling weirdos who took a wrong turn? No one knows for sure, but people from all over the world report seeing them, and the experience is downright terrifying. The thing about shadow people is that they are hard to describe, probably because they don't stick around long enough to pose for a selfie. Witnesses usually describe them as tall, humanoid figures that move fast, really fast. They are two-dimensional shadows that don't quite follow normal physics. They often appear shaky, blurry, or fluid-like, sometimes seeming to vibrate like they are glitching in and out of reality. And the worst part? They don't just lurk in haunted houses or spooky forests. They show up in your home. Yes, your home. Don't look behind you. People have reported seeing shadow people while reading, watching TV, or even lying in bed trying to sleep. One second, you're minding your own business, and the next, a dark silhouette zips across the room or stands ominously in the corner. Great, another thing to add to the anxiety of being alive. As if axe murderers weren't enough to worry about, now you can stress over ghost creatures. But in all seriousness, what are the shadow people? One theory is that they are ghosts, possibly restless spirits from another realm. But unlike the traditional wispy, foggy ghosts from movies, these figures are darker than dark, more like voids than apparitions. But here's the weird part. People who have seen both ghosts and shadow people say they feel completely different. Ghosts tend to have a human-like presence, while shadow people feel otherworldly. Another possibility is that shadow people are beings from another dimension, accidentally phasing into our world. Kind of like when your Wi-Fi glitches, but instead of buffering a video, reality starts buffering people from another plane of existence. That's kind of creepy. To think we are living close enough to another reality that people can buffer into our realm is some deep Matrix-level sci-fi. But maybe shadow people are humans from the future, using advanced tech to observe us. Although I don't know why, I don't know if we're really that interesting. Maybe their invisibility cloaks aren't as foolproof as they thought, and every now and then they accidentally glitch into view for a split second before vanishing again. According to Jerry Gross, an expert in astral projection, when humans sleep, our spirits leave our bodies and explore the universe. Some believe that shadow people are astral travelers, people who are out of body and unknowingly creeping into someone else's reality. Have you ever seen a shadow person? If so, let us know your experience in the comments. I really want to hear your story. The Sphere of Impossible Truths. Not all mysteries begin with flashing lights in the sky or cryptic signals from space. Some appear in the most unassuming ways, like a silent, seamless metal sphere resting in the grass. In 1974, the Betts family stumbled upon just such an object on their Florida property. At first, it seemed like a lost piece of machinery or an old cannonball, but soon the sphere began to move on its own. It vibrated in response to music and even appeared to follow people around the house like a puppy. Maybe this thing was an alien version of a robo-dog. The U.S. Navy, scientists, and even renowned UFO investigator J. Allen Hynek attempted to uncover its origins. Hynek was up to his neck in the paranormal. Some dismissed the orb as an industrial part, and others believed it was something far more mysterious. Then it vanished. 50 years later, the Betts sphere remains one of the strangest unsolved cases in UFO lore. But what was it? And where is it now? Terry Betts, the family's 21-year-old son, was the first to notice something wasn't right with the orb after they brought it home. When he played his guitar, the sphere began to hum and vibrate, resonating as if responding to the sound. The Betts' dog reacted in terror, whimpering, covering its ears, and trying to leave the room. Then came the even stranger part. Placed on a flat surface, the sphere would roll on its own, stopping suddenly and then changing direction. It had a mind of its own. On a tilted floor, it would roll uphill, defying gravity. When placed on a glass coffee table, it moved but never fell off, as if aware of the edge. Newspapers reported that the Navy ran a battery of tests at Naval Station Mayport. X-rays revealed that the sphere's shell was about half an inch thick and made of stainless steel alloy 431, a material commonly used in aerospace and industrial applications. The X-rays showed that inside was something dense and unknown, but not radioactive, explosive, or electronic. The military returned it to the Betts family, concluding it was not of military origin. But their vague report only fueled further speculation. Meanwhile, our friendly neighborhood UFO researcher, J. Allen Hynek, famous for his work on Project Blue Book, investigated the case. Many believed if anyone could prove its extraterrestrial origins, it was him. But in the end, Hynek's verdict was inconclusive. As media attention grew, the Betts family became overwhelmed. Their once fascinating discovery had turned into an invasion of their privacy. Then, as abruptly as they'd found it, the sphere disappeared. The Betts family stopped speaking to reporters. They refused interviews, and no one, not even researchers who once examined it, could confirm where it went. Some say the family hid it away. Others believe it was taken, either by the government or aliens wanting their technology back. Whatever the Betts sphere was, it has never resurfaced. The Lost Pyramid of Samoa. What if I told you there is a giant star-shaped pyramid hidden in the jungle and nobody knows who built it or why? Intrigued? You should be. Deep in the untamed jungles of Samoa, hidden beneath layers of dense vegetation, lies one of the South Pacific's greatest mysteries, a towering structure that has puzzled experts for centuries. Hu'ulumele Mound is a roughly 40-foot-high stone marvel. It stands as the largest and oldest pyramid-like structure in Polynesia. But what was its purpose, and why was it abandoned? For over 300 years, the answers have remained elusive. But now, cutting-edge technology is peeling back the layers of time, revealing a long-lost civilization far more complex and advanced than previously thought. Located on the island of Savaii, Hu'ulumele Mound is an architectural anomaly. Built in stages over centuries, starting around 1000 AD, this massive 8-pointed structure was designed with remarkable precision. Its edges aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions. From above, it resembles a colossal stone star. You have to see this thing out of the window of a plane to fully comprehend how amazing it is. It looks like a perfect stone star stamped into the earth. Like someone took a giant cookie cutter and boom, star pyramid. But no one knows who built it or why. Archaeologists and local historians have, of course, put forth several theories. A sacred religious site used for rituals and ceremonies, a strategic lookout point, a burial monument for a powerful ruler or spiritual leader, or a platform for pigeon snaring competitions, which is a significant Samoan tradition. I didn't just make that up. Despite decades of excavations, no single theory fully explains its true function. Not until now. Using advanced laser mapping technology, researchers detected the faint outlines of an entire lost settlement on the Samoan island, hidden beneath the jungle floor. What was once believed to be a ceremonial site turned out to be the centerpiece of a vast pre-colonial city, evidence of a thriving civilization that existed long before European explorers arrived in 1722. The Samoan pyramid is like the crown on the head of a forgotten culture. Laser scans have shown that the jungle is burying a whole civilization, countless buildings, and other strange structures that will take scientists decades to study. Think of all the documentaries we'll get out of this. A lost race of giants confirmed. Forget Area 51. The real weirdness in Nevada isn't aliens, it's giants. And I'm not talking about those novelty roadside attractions. Deep in the Nevada desert, hidden within the dark recesses of Lovelock Cave, an ancient secret may be buried, one that challenges everything we know about human history. Let me tell you the tale of the red-haired giants, towering 10 feet tall, who once roamed the Americas. For centuries, the Paiute people spoke of the Site Ka, a tribe of fierce, cannibalistic giants who terrorized their ancestors, right up until they were driven into a cave and burned alive. Now that's revenge served hot. But is this a myth or a real thing that happened to the last surviving giants? Archaeologists have uncovered artifacts and skeletal remains that raise chilling questions. And now, new discoveries are reigniting the mystery. The best place to begin is 1911, when miners digging for guano fertilizer in Lovelock Cave stumbled upon something far more valuable and far more bizarre. Among the layers of sediment, they found enormous human-like bones, a 15-inch long sandal, and a massive massive boulder with what appeared to be a giant handprint on it. Their discovery led to official excavations in 1912 and 1924, revealing over 10,000 artifacts and mummified remains. According to reports more than 100 years old, some of these skeletons measured between 8 and 10 feet tall. Then came another bombshell. In 1931, a local Nevada newspaper reported the discovery of 2 more giant skeletons found in a nearby dry lake bed. The article described these remains as being mummified in a manner similar to ancient Egyptian burials. But this was all in Nevada. Who would have thought that Vegas was built on the stomping grounds of ancient giants? Were these tall humans or evidence of something far more extraordinary? The idea of giants isn't unique to Nevada. For centuries, cultures around the world have passed down tales of towering humanoids, from the Nephilim of the Bible to the Titans of Greek mythology. But few legends are as eerily detailed as those of the Paiute tribe. According to Paiute oral history, the Si-Te-Ka were red-haired giants with incredible strength. They were aggressive warriors and cannibals who preyed on smaller tribes. They were also seafaring people who arrived in the Americas by boat from parts unknown. After years of warfare, the Paiute tribes united against the Si-Te-Ka. The final battle led the last surviving giants into Lovelock Cave, where the Paiute tribe set a massive fire at the entrance, trapping them inside. When archaeologists first excavated the cave, they did find evidence of significant burning at the entrance, confirming the legend. Some researchers believe these alleged giants were nothing but tall humans with naturally occurring genetic anomalies. Or could there be a lost chapter of history we have yet to uncover? You're probably wondering about the skeletons. If they were still around, scientists could easily tell if they were giants by studying them, right? But they are not still around. The giant remains from Lovelock Cave seem to have vanished. Almost all mention of them has been scrubbed from academic records. Some claim they were sent to museums and universities only to be locked away or lost over time. Others believe there was a deliberate effort to suppress evidence that didn't fit into mainstream historical narratives. The Smithsonian Institution, which has been rumored to have collected several of these skeletons, has denied possessing them. So where are they now? And why do reports of giant skeletons keep resurfacing, only for the remains to disappear? Super advanced Maya technology. Now let's travel to Palenque, 600 AD. Imagine the raw, vibrant chaos of a Maya metropolis. You would be surrounded by temples, squares, and amazing people. The jungle would be all around you, the sound of birds and the cries of Maya merchants, and above it all, a sound that would make your modern-day speakers and subwoofers seem like a cat's barely audible meowing. The Maya were rocking the ultimate sound system, one that didn't require Wi-Fi or batteries. According to archaeologist Francisca Zalaquet, Maya temples were designed to be loudspeakers. Maya temples were specifically designed to amplify sound and possibly even mess with your mind. Francisca and her team's findings are jaw-dropping. The northern group of temples at Palenque in central Mexico is an ancient acoustics marvel. These temples were built to project the human voice and the sounds of musical instruments across great distances. In case you're wondering what kinds of instruments the Maya used, forget about drums and guitars. They had rattling gourds, turtle shells played with deer antlers, whistles, ocarinas, and seashells. Maybe someone should make a modern version of a Maya band with all the same ancient instruments. Priests and performers stood on top of these massive temples, belting out chants and songs during public ceremonies. Their voices carried all the way across the square. The Maya hosted epic ceremonies for enthronements and births, war victories, and festivals for the gods. The more dramatic the sound, the better. Zalaquet's team suspects the Maya even used stucco, the same stuff you find on your walls, to intentionally change how sound was absorbed and reflected. It's like they were adding acoustic enhancement. And there might be more to it. There are rumors in scientific circles that ancient civilizations understood how to use sound as a technology. It's been suggested that the Egyptians used sound waves to lift massive stone blocks while building the pyramids. Some even suspect that with the right focus, sound waves can be used to cut stone with the precision of a laser beam. By the way, the Maya did not have a monopoly on mind-bending sound design. In the Peruvian Andes, researchers uncovered a stone labyrinth that not only amplified sound, but may have been engineered to disorient the listener. Imagine entering a maze where the echoes bounce off every stone surface so rapidly, you'd swear that sounds were coming from every direction at once. Miriam Kolar from Stanford Center for Computer Research and Acoustics said the echoes are are so intense in the Peruvian maze that it messed with people's minds. Plus, those who wandered through the maze were probably on psychoactive drugs like the San Pedro cactus, known to have been used in ancient shamanistic rituals. Sound technology and drugs were very common in the ancient world. It's hard for us to imagine what a ritual or a spiritual journey would have been like so long ago. If you want to learn more about ancient technology, be sure to subscribe and check out some of my other videos. The keys to the Gate of the Gods. Hidden deep within the history of Peru, among the ruins of long-lost civilizations, lies one of the most puzzling artifacts ever discovered: bronze gears believed to open a gateway to the world of the gods. Are they remnants of an ancient machine, proof of an advanced civilization, or decorative sun discs? Maybe they were just really fancy coasters. Even more intriguing, could these gears be the legendary key to unlocking the fabled Gate of the Gods at Ayumarca? Spoiler alert, no one has found the open button yet. Let's start with the gears themselves, which were first mentioned by Professor Rafael Larco Hoyle in his book titled Peru. A little generic, but hopefully you can find it if you're interested. There is almost no information about how or where they were found. The professor described them as intricately designed bronze discs with gear-like teeth, eerily resembling modern mechanical components. But he really messed up their backstory. The gears could have been part of a long-lost machine. They may have been ceremonial objects from an ancient sun-worshipping culture. Some have noted how similar the Peruvian gears are to the components in the Antikythera mechanism discovered in the Mediterranean Sea. Originally dismissed as a boring artifact, the Antikythera mechanism was later recognized as the world's first analog computer, featuring complex interlocking gears designed to track astronomical events. If ancient Greeks were capable of creating gear-based mechanical computers, why should it be impossible for an advanced civilization in South America to have done the same? A more mystical theory connects these mysterious gears to one of the most legendary megalithic sites in Peru, the Puerta de Ayumarca, the Gate of the Gods. This mysterious door-like structure in the Ayumarca mountain region near Lake Titicaca has been shrouded in legends for centuries. According to local folklore, it is a gateway between worlds, used by deities and great heroes to travel between realms. According to an ancient Inca legend, a priest named Amaru Muru fled from Spanish invaders through this very door, carrying with him a sacred golden disc. The story goes that when he arrived at the Gate of the Gods, he presented the golden key to shamans who performed a ritual. Suddenly, the doorway lit up with a blinding blue light. Amaru Muru stepped through it and vanished, never to be seen again. Some believe that the bronze gears of Peru are replicas of this lost key, perhaps created in later centuries by civilizations attempting to reopen the portal. Who wouldn't want to reopen a portal to another world? If you could teleport to another planet in an instant, where would you go? As for these gears, they remain an unsolvable mystery. Boring old artifacts or forged keys to a dormant stargate? You be the judge. An unprecedented ancient monument. A structure that has never been seen before is blowing up the world of archaeology. This thing has been called impossible, unprecedented, baffling, and every synonym for confusing you can think of. Hold on to your Indiana Jones hats, this one's a doozy. And if you don't have an Indiana Jones hat, a regular baseball cap will do. Just brace yourself. A team of archaeologists in eastern France, probably expecting to dig up some old pottery shards and a rusty spoon, instead stumbled upon a mind-blowing ancient structure at a site in Marliennes, France. That happens to be near a place called Dijon, just like the mustard. Anywho, the mystery structure contains 3 interlocking enclosures. The structures date to at least the Neolithic period, meaning they could be as old as 10,000 BC. To put that into perspective, that's when woolly mammoths were still strutting around like they owned the place. Were humans building epic structures and using mammoths to haul the stones around? Maybe mammoth power could explain half of the world's ancient megaliths. At the heart of the discovery is a 36-foot wide circular enclosure. Sticking into it, like a historical puzzle piece, is a smaller, horseshoe-shaped structure to the north and another open-sided circle to the south. It's like an ancient architect's wild experiment. But what's the deal with this place? It's not a temple or a stone circle or a pyramid. No one has ever seen a structure like it. Right now, scientists are diving into radiocarbon dating, metal analysis, and paleo-environmental studies. Hopefully, they'll be able to piece together the full story of this site and maybe rewrite a few chapters of history. Perhaps the structure was built by an unknown civilization with weird blueprints. Maybe they were too far ahead of their time. Ireland is apparently the real Atlantis. Move over, Greece, because Ireland's got some secrets it's ready to spill. And apparently they've been keeping them under a pile of shamrocks and a pint of Guinness, or something like that. According to researchers at Keystone University, Ireland, they have found proof that the legendary Atlantis is hidden in plain sight, and it's been waiting for us to notice it all along. The proof starts with the ancient Neolithic tomb of Newgrange, located in the Boyne Valley in County Meath. Apparently, this isn't just any tomb. According to the experts at Keystone U, it's the fabled Temple of Atlantis, and one of the oldest temples on Earth. Ireland's backyard could be hiding a temple so old it makes Stonehenge look like a toddler's first attempt at a Lego project. The researchers claim Atlantis was wiped out by a massive tsunami triggered by a comet slamming into Earth over 11,000 years ago. Classic doomsday scenario, and one I think even Graham Hancock of Ancient Apocalypse could get behind. The researchers go on to argue that the ancient Irish were the first people to develop things like boats, fishing, agriculture, and metalworking. Forget those slouches in Mesopotamia. Atlantis, Ireland was the cradle of all civilization. Take that, ancient Sumerians! The university scientists said that Irish DNA is scattered all over the globe, proving that Ireland wasn't just an island, but the superpower of its time. If this theory is true, you might want to start planning your next trip to the Boyne Valley. You could be walking on the very ground where the world's first highly advanced civilization once thrived. Then things got a little weird. A university spokesperson said it was the ancient Irish who gave the gift of civilization to a barbaric world. Then Ireland's rich history was butchered by her enemies during the Dark Ages. That's pretty intense. I wonder how many Irish people believe their island was home to the original Atlantis. It isn't the first time this suggestion has come up. In 2004, Swedish academic Dr. Ulf Erlingsson made similar claims. Erlingsson pointed out that Ireland's geography perfectly matched Plato's description of Atlantis. It's 300 miles long, 200 miles wide, and widest in the middle. It is also located beyond the Gates of Hercules.
Thanks for watching! Be sure to stay tuned for extra content you might have missed. The Great Ant City, an abandoned megalopolis which features vast subterranean highways, paths, and gardens, was found buried beneath the earth in Brazil. But it didn't belong to a lost civilization of people. This megacity had been left behind by ants. Scientists decided to investigate what the subterranean city built by a colony of ants really looked like, so they poured cement inside to create a mold. It was so large it took 3 full days, using over 10 tons of cement. Once the cement had settled, they painstakingly excavated the underground city, revealing quite an incredible feat of engineering. They removed masses of earth to reveal something so magnificent it's been described as the ant equivalent to the Great Wall of China. As it turns out, ant builders rival humans. The scientists found highways that connected each individual chamber, as well as side roads and avenues leading to pits of refuse, gardens, and so much more. This city actually looked as though it had been designed by professional architects. There were even ventilation ports. In total, the Great Ant City covered somewhere around 150 square feet and went over 24 feet down into the ground. To create their city, the colony had to move over 40 tons of soil to the surface, of course, using only their sheer strength. Chicken dinosaur. The most famous dinosaur in the world, the T-Rex, lived 80 million years ago. It's known today for having a starring role as the apex predator in the Jurassic Park films, its enormous jaws, tiny arms, and for being a terrifying killing machine. But a new study looking at one of the ancient ancestors of the T-Rex has proved that this creature wasn't always so scary. A Welsh discovery has led to researchers with the University of Birmingham uncovering the remains of an ancient ancestor directly related to the T-Rex that was only the size of a chicken. A terrifying chicken, though, I have to admit. You don't want a chicken with huge razor-sharp teeth and claws coming after you. The dinosaur, recently named Pendraig milnerae, lived sometime between 200 and 215 million years ago. That was way before the Tyrannosaurus rex showed up. And even though it was a relative and came before the T-Rex, it was obviously much smaller and was not as ferocious. While the T-Rex was around 40 feet tall, the Pendraig was only about 27 inches. However, it did have a tail of around 3 feet long. Who knew our friendly farm friends were so closely related to the greatest dinosaurs? Stingless bees. In California, a 4-year-old girl made an amazing discovery. This curious child accidentally found a very rare type of bee that was previously thought to be extinct in the United States. Annika Arnaut from Palo Alto stumbled upon 2 hives of stingless bees, insects that are normally found only in Brazil and a few other countries. According to scientists, these bees were believed to have been extinct in the US for over 70 years. But they were wrong. The stingless bees were still around. It just took a chance encounter and a little girl exploring to find them. The bee colonies were sent to the Department of Food and Agriculture Plant Pest Diagnostics branch to be inspected. Scientists found out that these stingless bees are descendants of different bees that had been brought to the United States to be pollinators in the 1950s. Back then, the Department of Agriculture was bringing in foreign bugs to help with vegetable and fruit crops. According to Martin Hauser, an insect biosystematist, the Department of Agriculture requested stingless bees from Brazil, then used them in Florida, Utah, and California. However, within just 1 year, all of the bees were thought to have died. Now we know that the bees didn't die, they just went incognito. Plus, even if you saw them, the average person would probably not know to report them. Where are you supposed to report strange animals? If you're wondering how these bees are different from the ones you see buzzing around in your garden, they don't have stingers. Instead of stinging, female bees of this kind simply bite. It still hurts, but it doesn't kill the bee. The warping crust. Scientists have made a very strange discovery regarding the crust of our planet. They have found that the staggering rate at which our planet is losing its ice has caused the Earth's crust to warp. And according to the experts, this could have a catastrophic effect around the globe. The Earth's crust is a very important part of our world. It's a zone of dry rock that's not quite as stable as some people think. Scientists compare the crust to a piece of wood floating in the water. As things change above and below, the crust fluctuates. The intense weight of glacier ice usually keeps the crust in place. But as more and more ice melts, that pressure is released and the crust rises up. Normally, this takes thousands and thousands of years, but it seems to be happening faster. Scientists have found that the crust is deforming both vertically and horizontally, and the warping is not only in places where the ice is melting. The crust is warping hundreds of miles away from where there is any ice. The best analogy is a memory foam pillow. When you lift your head, the depressions in the pillow slowly rise until the pillow is fluffy again. The same thing is happening with the Earth's crust. The crust is the pillow and the ice is your head. As the ice melts, the crust rises. What this means is that the surface of the planet is going to dramatically change in the next years and could result in coastal cities like New York being completely underwater in less than a century. Old Mike. The discovery of a corpse in the early 1900s proved to be one of the creepiest mysteries that is still unsolved even today. Old Mike was a traveling salesman who often showed up in the town of Prescott, Arkansas. No one knew his real name. They just called him Old Mike. On April 12, 1911, Old Mike was discovered dead in the middle of a park in the city of Prescott, lying underneath a tree. The coroner's report said that he died either from a stroke or a heart attack during the night. The townspeople didn't quite know what to do with him. Since they were unsure of who to contact, they went ahead and took him to the funeral home. The local funeral home then had his body embalmed, but no one came to claim him to have him buried. In 1911, it cost a lot of money to bury a person. Nobody wanted to pay to bury the stranger, so the funeral home put him up in the window, like a bizarre Christmas display, in hopes that somebody would walk by and recognize him, then pay for his burial. Nobody ever did recognize Old Mike. He sat in front of the Cornish Funeral Home for more than 60 years before he was finally put in the ground. By then, he had become a landmark in the city. People from far and wide came to get a glimpse of the mysterious body, and that was the legacy of Old Mike. He was finally buried in modern days when it became too inappropriate to have a dead body sitting in your storefront window. And now for some mysterious things from space. But first, want to give a big thank you to Mary Holsizer and Louise Turcott. You guys are awesome! If you are new here, welcome! And be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. We've got lots more videos coming up. Radio waves. In October of 2021, astronomers detected strange and unusual radio waves unlike anything they have ever detected before. It's true that radio emissions are very common throughout the universe. Everything from planets to stars generate radio emissions. Even black holes do it. But these emissions are usually identifiable. Scientists can't tell what's making these radio waves and why. This time, scientists are clueless. From what astronomers have said so far, the radio waves are reaching Earth from somewhere near the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way. The radio waves were detected by astronomers in Australia using their ASKAP radio telescope. One of the main theories right now is that the radio signals are coming from a new type of stellar object, some kind of cosmic thing that scientists have yet to see. According to Zitang Wang from the School of Physics at the University of Sydney, whatever the object is, it's extremely polarized and it oscillates. This means the signal is moving toward us, kind of like a corkscrew. If you have your hopes up for aliens, it's not quite there yet. The most realistic possibility is that these signals are coming from some type of pulsar, a spinning neutron star emitting massive beams of energy. But right now, scientists are still unsure. What do you think is sending radio waves out from the center of our galaxy? Is it a celestial object or is it aliens? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Terrifying spiders. This new research was published by the British Ecological Society. They performed an experiment in which they put spiders in front of other spiders to see what happened. In almost every single case, these spiders were so scared of the other spiders that they either jumped into the air or ran away as quickly as possible. The study was nicknamed arachnophobia. Its purpose was to look at how jumping spiders process threats. To do this, scientists had to take jumping spiders and then place objects in front of them to see how they reacted. They used objects like an image of a circle, random household items, and then more lifelike things. The more that the object looked like a creature, the more the spider got scared. For example, an ordinary box didn't frighten the spider, but when the scientists added things that looked like eyes and legs, the spider became more nervous. Finally, the scientists put the specimen of a dead spider in front of the living spider. It was so terrified that it ran away as quickly as its 8 legs could carry it. And this experiment had the same result every single time. We now know that humans aren't the only ones scared of spiders. Spiders are just as terrified of themselves as we are of them. Maggot power. When Pam Mitchell cut her left heel, she never imagined she would become a medical miracle. The small cut got infected, grew over 2 inches wide, and it ripped open down to the bone. Another wound developed on her foot, and the infection started to spread. Pam's doctor told her that it was beyond saving and that she would have to get her foot amputated. The antibiotics the doctors were prescribing did nothing to help. She was considering a very dangerous bone marrow transplant to save her foot when she learned about the possibility of maggots healing her. And yes, the wriggling, gross kind of maggots. Her doctor was appalled at the idea and said it was one step short of witchcraft. But Pam went out and found a specialized dermatologist who would perform a maggot procedure, something that they used to do in medieval times. Basically, old medicine is new again. The dermatologist introduced 600 living maggots into the wound on Pam's foot. The maggots were then sealed in gauze and left to do their business for 2 days. Just try to imagine having maggots wriggling around in your skin. Ugh. Yet to everyone's surprise, the procedure worked. After 10 treatments of inserting maggots into her wound, it healed. The maggots removed dead tissue, exposed healthy tissue, and worked even better than antibiotic cream. This might come back as a more popular medical solution. Plastic surgeons are already using leeches, and it might become way more mainstream than we can even imagine. The long-tongue moth. A new species of moth has been discovered, and it is weird. It's called the hawk moth, and it is found in Madagascar. It's a perfectly ordinary moth, except for one exceptional detail. It has the longest tongue out of any insect currently known to scientists. The moth's tongue can measure up to an outstanding 11.8 inches long. But why is there a moth flying around with a tongue longer than most people's feet? It's because the moth evolved over thousands of years and millions of years so that its tongue could reach the bottom of the nectar tubes of the star orchid, a flower unique to Madagascar. What's really amazing is that Darwin actually predicted that this insect existed long before it was ever found. In 1862, on a visit to Madagascar, he noticed the star orchid and said that surely there must be some insect that has adapted to slurp the nectar from the bottom of the outrageously long tubes. Sure enough, That very moth was witnessed for the first time in 1903, then properly recognized as a new species in 2021. Housebroken cows. For the first time in history, scientists have managed to potty train cows. Maybe useless and probably a waste of time, but fascinating nonetheless. The house training was done by a group of researchers in Germany and New Zealand. They took 16 baby cows and then taught them how to use the toilet in a latrine. They did this the same way you might train your dog to go to the toilet outside. They awarded the baby cows with treats when they went in the right spot. Then, after a while, if the cow would use the bathroom in an undesignated area, the scientists would spray them with an unpleasant-smelling water spray. The results of the study were absolutely amazing. It turns out that cows can learn how to use the potty quicker than human babies. Of course, most parents of potty training toddlers probably skip the water spraying method. This shows a few things that are key to understanding animal behavior. It shows that cows can control their natural reflexes when properly taught, and this would presumably transfer over to all kinds of other animals, such as goats, deer, pigs, and so on. Thanks for watching! Which of these discoveries shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you next time! Bye!